the business podcast that gets real with business so your business can become a reality with our daily 10-minute business lessons for the real world. I'm your host, your coach, your teacher, Omar Zinhom. I'm also the co-founder of the $100 MBA, a complete business training and community online. Guys, make sure you check out our free guides on how to create a great business. We have guides on how to create an online course. We have guides on how to create a business plan in under an hour. We have branding guides. Check out all these guides and more over at 100mba.net/guides. In today's episode, you will learn how to hire your first manager. At some point in your business, you're going to start growing and you're going to need to start delegating so you can start working on the bigger picture. In today's episode, I'm going to define what I mean by a manager exactly and how best to fulfill that role. This is something I've done in my businesses in the past and something I've done recently in our business, the $100 MBA recently. So I want to just pass on some really good advice that you can use when it comes to hiring your first manager, finding the right person, and making sure they know what they're responsible of. After all, you didn't start a business to do everything yourself. You started to create something significant and have a little bit of a comfortable lifestyle. At some point, you're going to stop bootstrapping it and you're going to start growing and enjoying the fruits of your labor. I get into all the details, guys, so let's get down to business. Today's episode of the $100 MBA show is sponsored by HostGator. HostGator has the best hosting options out there. They just released a really cool new hosting option called cloud hosting. It's twice as fast as standard hosting, but it's not twice the price. You can get started with 30% off with this special coupon and pay only about $6 a month. Get your website up and running in no time. Just go to hostgator.com/MBA30. Again, that's hostgator.com/MBA30 and use coupon code MBA30. I want to start today's lesson by defining what I mean by a manager, or how I define a manager. The way I differentiate a manager from another teammate, somebody else, another employee that you would hire on your team, is that a manager is empowered to make decisions that you're currently making. So basically what you're doing is you're offloading the decision responsibility, whatever those decisions are that you're currently making in some area, to somebody else. Now, that doesn't mean that other people that are not managers are not empowered to make decisions. Of course they are. They have to make decisions every day in their job. And as a good business owner, you should empower people to make decisions. Also, if you want to keep all your hair and not completely stress out, you need to let people do their job. But what I'm talking here is you probably make tons of decisions every day and you think that you have to make them. And I'm here to say you don't. For example, you currently could be making the decision to give somebody a refund in your business or not. So if a customer is complaining or a customer wants an exception to the rule or something like that, you're usually the person that makes that decision. Now, I think this is one of the first things you should really delegate and start hiring a manager for. Now, before you start asking yourself the question, well, how am I going to delegate a decision? I make my decisions because it's the way I make decisions. I'm not sure how somebody else would make that decision. Well, I'm here to tell you that just like you train somebody on a procedure, you can train them on decision making. And the reason why I think this is a good place to start making decisions on whether you should give a customer a refund or not, and in this example, we're talking about outside the refund policy. Like obviously, if somebody's asking for a refund and they're within the refund policy, then that's an automatic thing that your customer service person can do. But let's say you need to make an exception, somebody's past that time. So you can train somebody on the decision-making process that you do when you make a decision on a certain area. And this is really helpful because you're showing that new manager your philosophy in business. And the way you train them is that when you make those decisions, include them in the decision and tell them, hey, I'm issuing this refund because 1, 2, 3, 4. Or I'm not issuing this refund because of this. And what this teaches the new manager is the rationale behind the decisions. And they can use the same rationale when they're making their decision. So in a nutshell, that's how I describe a manager and why you should need one. Because you can't be making decisions all the time. It's going to take too long, and there'll be a backlog, and you have to delegate. And you want to start growing your business and start seeing the big picture at some point. All right, so how do you find this first manager? Well, first, I highly recommend that you hire within. You promote somebody that's in your business already, an employee that you have already. It's a lot easier to communicate this new role and all these new decision training with somebody you've built trust with and a rapport with, somebody that you know very well. So that's my first option. I try to find the best fit from the people that are already working for me. And what you could do is a trial period, and we've done this in our business, where you say, this person's in charge while I'm away for the next week. And you could be going to a conference, you could be going away on vacation. Take a break and see what happens. See how they handle the decisions they have to make while you're away. You can do it again for another couple weeks, and then eventually it could be full-time. Now, in that period of training, you should always be available if they have any questions. And usually it's not that long. They get the hang of it pretty quickly. Option number 2, if you can't hire somebody within for any reason, and this is very rare, you usually can promote somebody. You can make an outside hire. This one's a difficult one because you're going to have to trust your manager a lot. And you're going to have to take a huge risk and trust somebody that you pretty much have never met. You're going to be going through some interviews. You're going to have to ask some really good questions. And my advice is, in those interviews, you got to ask them for examples of problems they've solved and decisions they've made in previous posts. If you're making an outside hire, whether that's posting the job on onlinejobs.ph or if you're posting it on freelancer.com or on your own website like we do, make sure you have a probation period so you don't give up the reins completely, where you get to know each other a little bit and there's a training process. Now, whether you choose to make an outside hire or you choose to hire somebody within your company already, I really highly recommend that you do an interview process. You post a job on your site and you interview, even if that person's already in your company. You want to go through a thorough process to make sure you're choosing the right person. And also that it's a voluntary hire. Sometimes people feel pressured when they're promoted. And my advice is, if you want to make an internal hire or an internal promotion, indicate to the person that you want to promote in their evaluations that you're looking to expand their role, and hopefully they'll be a manager soon. See their reaction. If it's positive, you know that they're interested and a promotion would be welcomed. And if it isn't, you can just open up a dialogue and say, hey, how would you feel about this job, about this different role? And tell them that this is a safe place. And if they say yes, if they say no, they still have a place in your company, and you appreciate their commitment. Remember, commitment in your business goes both ways, on their end and yours. But back to the interview process, whether you're hiring or trying to find a new manager inside your company or outside your company, this allows you to have these types of conversations that are candid. It also kind of settles your nerves and makes sure that you're making the right decision. You've seen all the options out there, and you know who you're hiring for this new manager job is the right fit. Some of the questions you should be asking in this interview are situational questions, meaning give them a situation where you had to handle in your business as a manager of your business. You've made those decisions before. What are some of the things that you were faced with? And ask them how they would deal with it. You might be surprised with some of the answers or the lack of answers. Lastly, when you're going through that interview process, my number one piece of advice when it comes to hiring or promoting is that attitude is king. A great attitude is something you cannot teach. So if somebody has a great attitude, a winning attitude, somebody that really cares about your business and is willing to put in the time and effort to impress you and to really do what's best for the customers, that's somebody that is gold in my book. I can train anybody. I can show them anything. I can give them resources. I can give them training modules or sign them up for a course, and they can learn how to do anything. But an attitude is something completely separate. It has to come from within. So keep that in mind when you're hiring. Often when we're making a hire, it's the first thing we look for. Their qualifications might not be as good as somebody else, but if their attitude is something that's impressive, it makes us say, hey, I want to work with this person. This person gets it. Then more likely than not, they will be hired. And sometimes you find this out really quickly, like their response on email when you tell them that there's an interview. Guys, I got a bit more on today's topic, but before that, I got to give love to today's sponsor, HostGator. Guys, when it comes to hosting your website, creating your website, registering domain names or SSL certificates, you have to go with HostGator because they're the best in the game. They got 24/7 live support via phone, chat, and email, and they host the biggest companies out there. In fact, they host the $100 MBA Show's website, and they're hooking up every listener of the $100 MBA Show with an amazing discount, 30% off. All you got to do is go to HostGator.com, MBA30, and use coupon code MBA30 to save 30% on any of their plans. You can get started with their fast cloud-based hosting for just about $6 a month. Pretty cool. Again, guys, that's HostGator.com/MBA30 to save 30% off HostGator. Guys, hiring your first manager is exciting. It means you're growing. It means that you're starting to detach yourself from every little decision and starting to work on your business instead of in your business. So be proud of yourself. And don't be afraid to celebrate when you hire your first manager. It's a win for the new hire as much as it's a win for you. All right, guys, that wraps up today's lesson. I hope you loved it. We got a whole lot more coming up this week. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about how to manage risk in your business, as well as on Friday, how to lower your refund rate. I'll be mentioning some really great research that I found from Neil Patel. We get into all that this week, as well as Q&A weekends. Can't wait for that. But before I leave you guys, I want to leave you with this. If for any reason you don't make the right hire, it's okay. It doesn't mean that, this means I have to do everything myself forever. It just means that you're going to have to find a better fit. So keep at it and make sure you find the right people in your business, whether they're employees or managers. All right, guys, I'll check you in tomorrow's episode. Take care.